and let me let everybody in. Let me. Okay. Okay. So, hi everybody. This is number 5, I think, our second of the day, and we're lucky to be here to be joined by Ksenia. Well, Oksana it says on here, but Ksenia is what I know. And Ksenia is what I call probably one of the hardest working fashion illustrators on the planet. Um, I can constantly see her online whizzing around and working hard from a live illustration point of view. And I think that was one of the main sort of reasons because we started to interview lots of and meet with lots of live event illustrators because it's probably one of the biggest growing spaces for illustration, drawing, image making, and you're very successful at it. Um, and before I start showing your presentation that you sent me, what I would like from you is your sort of journey into live event work. How did you find out about it? What made you want to go into it? And a little bit of an insight into your world.
Of course. Yeah, I'll be very happy to share that because it's been a long journey. More than 17 years, I'm in a fashion industry as a fashion designer. And I've been sketching collections and fashion illustrations since I was graduated from St. Martin College in London. And yeah, my first project was with Kenzo back in 2011 in Finland when I had to draw a sketch pattern for the fabric, for the interior, for the furniture. And so then I'll go very briefly between countries where I used to live. It's like Finland. Then I moved to France and I tried to adjust my education because I wanted to move from the fashion designer because I have a master's degree as a fashion designer, but I wanted to go more for like fine arts, more like for fashion illustrations for magazines and fashion shows. So I went to Parsons University in Paris. And I started connecting and learning how to do very quick sketches at the fashion shows. So this is where I met few very big people who did a big impact in my life, in my fashion world life. And I'm still working with them as a fashion illustrator for the collection. So they bring the ideas and I have to sketch the illustrate, and then it goes to the boutique where they produce haute couture collections. So after France, I moved to Dubai, to a Middle East country, and I opened my design studio and my fashion brand. And it was pretty famous and popular between Middle East countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Dubai. And I produce abayas, turbans. I don't know if most of people probably don't know what is that. So it's hats for Muslim women's. And and I still was working as a digital illustration for brands because that time Bvlgari hotel, like an island, was start building in Dubai. And on that time, I've been working as an illustrator for Armani Hotel, which is downtown in Dubai, because I did some illustrations for Menu. And so someone recommended me to a team who was in a design industry for Bvlgari Hotel in Dubai. And this is how I started working as an illustrator for them as well, because I've done a lot of illustrations for the interior as an interior illustrator. So, and yeah, I was there for 7 years. I worked with Zara Home, with the local brands, and also I was running my design studio. And in 2018, I moved to America, and I've been to like 38 states. I travel a lot. I was just kind of exploring the culture because when I moved to America, I realized that the brand which I had in GCC countries in the Middle East is not going to work here. But with my 17 years fashion and illustration background, I can just combine it together and just bring something new to America because I see a lot of artists and illustrators are here and they work in a quite different style. It's more like, like more like fun, more like a little bit like kid style. So it's more not as fashionable. And I started just putting my illustrations online again, and I've got a lot of people contacting me to do like a storytelling for brands, for stores, like a digital illustrations. And also I was working with animation. So I've done animation for Hermès, for Ralph Lauren, because brands, even like probably like 7 years ago, they started moving more towards illustrations. They didn't want to use more like photography and more like digital stuff. They wanted something unique and based on a history, like illustration. This is the best way to bring the emotions, experience, and you can be artist, but you have to understand how to translate the emotion and brand identity. And if you feel the brand, you can create something that speaks to client through the TV, through the animation, through the screen, and people wants to come back. People wants to be with you, wants to experience your like colors, your design, your collections. So, and this is where I've got completely into fashion illustrations. So I quit my company, I stopped my company. So I still have design studios there and I have people work for me there, but I'm not in the Middle East anymore. I'm concentrated in America and specifically in Miami area because Miami, as we know, is still new for illustrations. Like I used to live in New York, and New York is very, very like high demand for the fashion illustrations versus Miami. So I moved to Miami 3 years ago, and there are some like a local fashion illustrations, but they work in their own style, and nothing shows like real fashion illustrations. Like elegant, classy ladies, like with long legs, and more like something between like Coco Chanel and Dior, Valentino style. So, and this is how I decide, like, it's basically was from scratch for Miami. So you have to kind of like develop and bring what you have to a new state, which is pretty new for this world. And it's interesting journey for sure. And the main part, you have to be very passionate about it. You have to love what you're doing. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And you have to breathe with the idea what you're creating. It's not just like, just moving a pencil or just a brush. It's just feeling you translate into the art.
Yeah, well, I think one, you have a lot of a wide knowledge, and I think that's what's been a big benefit for you is your understanding of fashion design. So we see lots of fashion designers move into fashion illustration, and then also your understanding of business is really important because uh, just looking at and following you on Instagram, you're on it every day, and I think it's a combination of passion and you're not messing about. You're serious, and I think that's really nice because a lot of people think opportunities will just walk up and present themselves, and you have to get out there, make it happen. No one's going to make it happen for you. Um, and it's interesting because someone had just put up a message. Why did you move from the Middle East to the US, where there's more opportunities as a fashion illustrator in the US? I assume, but there's lots of new work popping up. Like we're getting lots more connections to Dubai now, Riyadh, and they're so I think that market's growing again. So you never know, you might shift. But I think Miami is on this moment at now where I think maybe you're a person who's trying to capture waves before they come, and you're early, like you were early in the Middle East. You caught that wave. Middle
Right.
East has grown, and now Dubai. I mean, Miami is. I because I've worked with Bal Harbour as well, and I know you have, and they really embrace illustration and fashion, and I think they're just at the beginning. Even though
Yeah.
they've done it for many years, I feel that you're a market spotter. So you're a trend spotter to see, there's a market here. Because New York is really big and it's quite oversaturated. Where Miami, there's probably you. I think there's two or three that I know, hardly
Right.
any. Um, and it's a great space for you to really almost take the whole market. And they're hungry, I think, because of the boutique stores that are popping up, like in Bal Harbour. You've got a whole range of stores there that you can work for every day if you need to. And we're seeing that they were talking about the new Silicon Valley being in Florida, in Miami. So I'm guessing if anyone wants to know what's happening in the world, start following Ksenia because she's a trend forecaster. She sees markets before they happen. But I'm just gonna share my screen because I have like a little bit of information just about like what you do and some of your work. I guess this is we don't need to read too much of this, but this is kind of like
Yeah.
what you were saying earlier, and all the brands you've worked for: Chanel, Dior, Cartier, Hermès, Bulgari, Louis Vuitton. Basically, everybody that is alive. And I know that people undervalue what you do because I know how hard it is, and I know that you work super hard. And I can see that from following you that you're a mega hard worker and you only got what you've deserved. So well done from that area. And you do, and look, you work in every discipline from events, bar mitzvahs, baby showers, you name it, you're open for it. And I know there's a whole market for it, live events. It's very well paid, which is really good as well. Um, and I'm just going to whiz down here because there's lots of things here. I'll share
Yeah.
this piece of information via our website so people can have a look because there's tons of little bits of data in there. Um, but I'm trying to get down to the more illustration work here, which is what I'm more interested in, is kind of looking at your mark making, drawing, and you have a combination of sort of, I would say, fashion illustration and design. So you you
Correct.
you can see the both. Which do you prefer to design or to illustrate?
I call myself creative mind because first of all, you have to create idea what to want to illustrate. So it's hard to put myself in one of these. That's why I kind of like, again, like I call myself in general creative mind who creates and illustrate afterwards.
I guess that's a nice way of putting it because it means you're not just decorative. You're not just
Right.
decoration. There's a brain in there. And
Well, when I was studying in London in St. Martin College, one of my teacher, she told me, you can teach to draw even a monkey, but the sense and the feeling of the fashion and how to be like how to how to bring a beauty in this world, you have to be born with that. And I completely agree with that, because I've seen a lot of people who learn how to draw from YouTube channels, from different artists, and you can become amazing, like a portraitist, amazing artist. But when it comes to like a storytelling, brand identity, and bringing them energy and concept of the brand or the company, people have very, very hard time because they don't feel it. So you have to be born with the feeling of aesthetic and the beauty, and then combined with the skills, like artistic skills, you can create something for brands, not just being artists.
Yeah. And we were just looking at the Manano Blahnik work here with the flowers, and you know, and the feedback that you get, and I guess from a live event point of view, I guess you have to be happy all the time. You're always, you know, you're always there promoting new opportunities come from working at live events, because I was talking with another live event artist earlier, and I was saying when you do a live events, you know, you're there promoting yourself as a potential new work. So when people see you, they go, I would love this for me as well. So it sort of radiates to new work, which I guess new opportunities, and I guess like you said, the passion, the knowledge, and the energy all
Right.
fits together. And I think you can't be like a little person who sits in their room and is quite miserable. You need it all. And I think that builds to the magic of being a live event. So would you say live event illustration is something that you love now?
I love being interacted with people, because at the live event, you interacting with at least like 30 people, because depends on how big the event, and you have to sparkle that love, that passion for illustrations, and you have to capture the most brightest like elements from the outfit and features of the face, and at the same time you have to be talkative, you have to speak with everyone, and it definitely needs a lot of energy. It requires a lot of energy and love, being exposed to so many people, and you basically entertaining them. You like a speaker, because you are the only one person at the event who gets attention, basically, especially being at working with brands like Manolo Blahnik, Cartier, Tiffany, Louis Vuitton, Bvlgari. So people come to the event to experience the artwork, illustrations. So yeah, you are the main person who entertaining them.
I'm just showing here the drawings that you did for Bulgari, where you used the gold foiling. Could you explain what you did there? Because I was trying to work out what you were doing.
So yeah, I worked with Bulgari for quite like since Dubai. It's been 10 years already, but in America about like 3.5 years, and I work in Florida and East Coast, so I travel between states, and depends on the store and the theme, they require different skills. So not only sketching. As you can see, there is a digital illustration where I sketch on iPad and print it out right away. And I do work with watercolor, and with gold foil. It was a very specific request where you use like a real gold foil. So you use like, well, it's a specific set because you have to kind of like make it stick together, and you have to basically make the artwork from the foil. So you use your pencil, you use a brush, you use a specific like a stick for that, and then you remove kind of like all that. What like it's hard to explain how it is. Like I have a video, so I'll share my video
Yeah,
on Instagram, because
yeah.
it's very, very specific technique, and it requires a lot of like like fine details and like fine work, fine movements, because if you move a little bit on the right, the gold goes like beyond the edge of the artwork and it's already messed up. So it doesn't look as
It looks
elegant.
they looked amazing, and I remember when you sent them to me and I saw them, and I was just like, because usually you would have a stamp press to create gold foiling, where you're doing it more all by hand, freehand, and the outcomes. I don't know, but Bulgari should have been kissing you all over, because this to create by machine using stamp pressing would have cost a fortune, would have been really difficult, and you've done it freehand, which is even, and all the detail is amazing, and to do it for a live event is even better. Did you prep any of these pieces before, or you did them all on the day?
Well, I've done that for another brands, but it takes a lot of time to practice.
Right. We,
Yeah, but
we'll
it's
have to
been
watch the
30
video.
years since I used them. Yeah.
It is by far the most beautiful process.
Thank you.
It's amazing, and I was just wowed looking at them, and I was like, how did you make these? I I couldn't even imagine, but I know, using glues and sticks and all these different processes, and to learn this one is quite fascinating. And I was just amazed when I saw them, and I guess then you've got t-shirt prints, t-shirt graphics. Someone had asked the question was, how did you find your clients? Like, what do you do to get clients? Obviously, Instagram is, you must get contacted now, but how did you start? Like, what do you do? Like, I want to become a live illustrator. What do I do?
I think a lot of clients I got through my friends, old clients, and through my fashion background, because I've been working with a lot of fashion brands as a fashion designer, and they kind of like shared my contact. But another time, I remember time when I just printed out it's like a small, like a portfolio. And I went to every store and just kind of introduced myself. And sometimes it works, sometimes it not. And at this point, you have to try everything.
That's what I like. That's why I told you you're hardworking. Is is go back to the basics, print something out, take it. Here's me. If you need anybody, I'm available. Contact me. Very old school
Yeah.
philosophy, but I think everybody thinks just posting something on Instagram is going to save their life. It isn't. It's a case of you have to get yourself out there, run around. Hello, I'm here. Look at my work. If you need someone, and then obviously it snowballs, and you can kind of, people get to know you and then they contact you. So you build up a big portfolio of people that now know you, and then work continues. But as you know, it sometimes can go slow, and you have to kind of, you don't sit there. You're like, right, I need more work. What do I do? And you start thinking. And I think that's something that if anyone, I'd say there's a few people in Britain who are very similar to you. And Connie Lim is one of them, where they really are everywhere. They're at every event, everything. I think they don't sleep, and you name it, they're at every event. They're doing everything, and they're going to the gym, and they're doing this, and they're walking their dog. And I think it's a constant, never stopping, and loving what you do. So. Um, I guess I was kind of flicking through this work because you've got so much work, and it's really nice to see, there's loads of different styles, different techniques, different ways of working. Um, and then I'm working on these little 3D characters as well, hand painting on sculptures. I think if people want to see like a whole collection of stuff, and these were quite interesting ones because you show some digital. So, what would you say the mix is of digital to analog? Like, is it 50/50 or?
I would say before 2023, it was mostly digital. And for the last few years, like 90% of clients move to ink, pencil, and watercolor.
Ah, okay.
So, yeah, they want
And you
traditional
enjoy that?
materials.
And you enjoy it well because the gold foiling, I think, is amazing as well. So there's all this more handcrafted, it feels exclusive. And I
Yeah.
think that's because of, I guess, the benefits of AI is it means that there's a rise in handmade and it can only be potentially done by a real person. So people love to see an artist create. Um, I guess because when I see live event illustrators pricing their work, like pricing how much they are for an evening, it really is a mix. And I was thinking to myself, how do you make a fashion illustrator worth 50 to 100,000 pounds a night? Because in theory, you're like a DJ and you're there, everyone's around you, and I'm wondering, will there be a moment where the live event illustrator will become so in demand and so popular that their price point could be really high? I don't know because I know there's live event painters, and we spoke to one once, and he was $30,000 an evening, and I think. If you wanted to, what is the most expensive fee you've ever charged for an evening? Was there one that where someone paid you crazy amounts?
Well, for evening, I think the most highest price which I got it was $18,000.
No. And was that for a luxury brand or for a client?
Yeah, yeah. It's mostly like upscale brands where I had to represent a brand and kind of like it was a hotel. Yeah.
Okay. And were you sending stuff on social media as well? And they were using you as a combination of an illustrator, influencer, as all of the elements together, or was it just for the live event?
It was just for live event.
Wow. So that's amazing because I know a lot of live event illustrators, they try to look at their following, they try to see could they add value to the business. But I guess for one live event at that cost, did they offer that amount or did you ask?
So the thing is, they use the artwork for the guests, for the customers, and for them it was very difficult to find someone who could translate the atmosphere and combine the like a fine lines with bright colors. So most of artists they work in a, like a monochrome, more like
Black and white,
not
okay.
as bright colors. So the feeling of that kind of like a color palette along with the fashion and bringing into the architecture, it was quite difficult to find a person who can do this. That's why when we were speaking about that, I told them it requires about like 7 hours of work or even more. It depends on how long, because I might talk to clients and I cannot just turn them off. So if people come to me and speak to me, I have to speak with them, because it's also like representing your brand. So was like a long collaboration, but they kind of like I told them my price and they're like, okay, we're good with that.
Good. That's good. I like to hear that sort of outcomes because I know a lot of illustrators never know about fees and costs, and they're always scared to ask for certain things. And I think like your approach is, if you don't ask, you don't get. And you, if the demand is there for you, you deserve your money. And I think it's quite admirable that we need to respect the craft that we do, and people should pay. And I think that's good.
Yeah, and I can be very flexible, and I have some clients and some brands who come to me and they say, hey, we have a budget because we're opening a new store and we have a budget, but we really love your work and we worked with you before. And I can go with that and just I can lower my fees because for me, I love again, like I love what I'm doing. And it's not always for money. I even have startups who come to me and they like say, can you do something like, like basically like voluntary for us? And I've done that as well. Because when I see potential in my client and they really, really, they have a fire in their eyes about their brand and what they're opening, I'm willing to go with that because I want to see the progress. As I want to see a person grow, and when this person grow, like business, restaurant, or like hotel, so I'm enjoying because I was part of that, and this is what keeps me going and very, very inspiring for me. So it's not only about money; it's about how you feel project and how you want to input yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way. Well, I think all illustrators or creatives need to be open and be flexible. And I think that's quite important. What you were saying there is you're not I'm up here like a celebrity now and I only work for this money. You're not, you're flexible and it's about being agile and saying, okay, you're a startup, but I know in time you might get good. So we work together. It's a partnership, and in time, you will reciprocate me and maybe give me more money or more opportunities. So I think having that open-mindedness to working is a very good piece of advice for people moving forwards. And I think that's why I wanted to speak to you because one, you work so much. One, I know you're kind of smart in the whole process. But I think you're really interested. I think someone wants to ask us a question. Anouk, I
Yes.
don't know if your microphone is on,
Do you hear me
but
well?
hello,
Is it okay? Do you hear me well?
we
Yeah.
can hear you. Yes.
So nice to meet you, Oksana. I've been following you for a while now on Instagram. I'm a self-aligned illustrator and based in Dubai. That's why I asked the question. Did you move from Dubai to the US because of the opportunities? But well, you answered the question. My question was more related to the pricing, since we were talking about that right now. How did you know you could charge what you currently charge? I know you're flexible, but like at the beginning, because I personally launched myself like only this year, and still something that I'm working on. Like I work with some couple of clients, but it's still like very it can be touchy sometimes depending on the client. So how do you know this is the fair price to apply for the clients you have depending on the clients? So startups like you mentioned or luxury brands, like how do you establish the price knowing the value you can bring to an event? I don't know if it's that clear.
Yeah.
You
Well, first of all, I always bring my education because getting MBA in San Martin University, it cost a lot of money and it's very tough because the group of people who were studying was very tough and you getting real skills. And after that, you get different clients. And when you see a company who like a $1 billion company contacting you and they say we have a budget, like for example, in Dubai, they very, very like, they try to lower price for everything. They're very greedy for money. Very, and I know that market very good. So at this point, you have to kind of like make your price, and if it's your clients, they will get back to you. Not right now, they will get back to you later because they will find someone who charge less, but they will not be happy with the result because they came to you for your specific style, for your skills, and they will come back to you. At this point, this is only my advice because a lot of people try, like in Dubai, they try to pay you like, I don't know, like 300 dirhams per hour, 200 dirhams per hour, 600 dirhams. So it depends on the brand, and you kind of have to just, like put yourself in a specific level and just don't go lower for that.
Thank you so
Because
much.
it's your time, it's your experience, and your skills, obviously.
True, true. Thank you.
And you cannot just be, like you can adjust yourself for every client, especially for big brands. If it's startups, that's absolutely fine. It depends on you. If you don't have any job, project like for summertime, right? You can take a lower cost for like small company. At least you will get new client, new experience, and they will come back later. So it's always, like I said, it's not always has to be about money, but you have to appreciate and respect your time.
Good, good advice is have that sort of benchmark figure that you don't want to go below, and you say, okay, well, I could work in McDonald's for more money than this, so I have a degree or I've done this, have a bit more respect for what I do, and that's it. End of discussion. And then they, as they say, they will come back. Sometimes you have to lose a little bit to gain a lot. So I think that
Right.
philosophy, it does work in the long run, and it's very difficult when you're sort of hungry for new opportunities. But sometimes you have to stick to your guns and really kind of play hardball. And I think that's quite important regarding the work. So I'm just going to see if I can share, because I looked at some other little bits. Let's have a look at this. I'm going to share your folder. Um,
Oh, you can show how I draw the last
the
video.
last one, this one was good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So here's a little video of drawing live.
Yes. So this is how I usually start sketching.
Good. And do you, I guess as a sort of a creative person, do you constantly test different materials, or are you thinking, well, I need it to translate into live events, so using certain materials are not an option. So you go ink or watercolors. They're what sort of clients want at the moment. So I'm going to kind of use more of them. Or are you testing pastels and collage, and because you have kind of a style? I don't know. Do you, or you're just refining your style, what you do?
I'm trying to use different materials and kind of experiment, but pastel, it's not for me because it's very like sensitive material, which you can use mostly for like a big artwork where you can show them in a hotel or just, like for personal collections. But it's definitely not for live events. And based on your question again, like some clients require very quick sketches. So at this point, I cannot mix media because it requires extra time. So I do like just watercolor and pencil. But
Yeah.
if, for example, we've seen in my portfolio what I've done for Manolo Blahnik with real flowers, so they wanted experience. So they represented a new collection and they wanted just like a summer vibe, summer feeling. So, and they were more about product. They didn't care like if it just takes longer, but they wanted just a beautiful artwork and something unique, like using like flowers. So it always depends of my client.
We do get requests quite a few times for people to use flowers as the medium, and I think there's been a growing request because there's lots of little people on Instagram, and they tend to show me some characters who use flowers and then work from the flowers for drawings, and there's been a real demand for that. And I guess using plants and objects or things and then drawing around it has become quite popular. I don't know. Have you done more of it, or?
It's popular. It's mostly popular in Europe, especially in UK.
Yeah.
In Dubai, I know some people who've done that with brands, but not as much in America. That's why I brought that idea just and represented to brands. So they didn't have specific requests because when I was speaking with a team, Manolo Blahnik, they told me that what they wanted and like, okay, I can offer you something like using real flowers. And like, oh my God, yeah, whenever I use that, whenever I seen that, let's do that. So yeah, I think it just started in America.
Right. So as I told you, you're the person to follow because you're the trend forecaster for where we should move next regarding new work, which is part of the game because if you're willing to shift around and move, but I know Dubai is growing, but I guess it's all to do with budgets. Like I guess for me, most of my work's US based, and they pay probably 10 times more than the UK. The UK is very stingy regarding budgets and money. And in the fashion sector in the UK, usually the budget is zero. So you can't work with zero. But if you go to America, they love illustration, they love drawing, they love art. They have a real respect for it. And I think you're in the right place. And I'm pretty sure you'll be doing lots more flying around, and we'll be seeing lots more of you. But as we keep these quite short, and because we know you have lots of things to do, but it's so good, Senya, to have you on here, and we're so lucky because I know you're mega hardworking and you're full of knowledge, and we're so grateful for you to kind of join us and give us a bit of your time and positive energy and that real understanding of doing lots of things. So, Senya, thank you so much, and we're so grateful to have you.
Thank you very much for having me as well, and I very appreciate your time. It was very lovely talking to you and make new friendship in real life already through the screen, but still it's very nice talking to you and everyone who watching us.
Yeah,
I really enjoy that, and yeah, I'm always open to help people with advice if they have any questions. I'll be very happy to answer.
yeah, lovely. Thank you, Senya. Have a lovely day, and we'll keep in touch. And I hope everybody, I always tell people to follow you because you're full of information and good little tips. So thank you so much, Senya, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Have a
Bye
lovely
bye.
day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.